thank you so much. We have a stander in the back. So come on in, Mr. Stander, and have a seat. That's fantastic. If you don't know about me, I went to high school here in Denver. I'm a Lincoln High graduate. I got a Grammy nomination for one of my albums, moved back to LA where I was originally from, and by just kind of a miraculous set of coincidences, I ended up being a jazz book author for Howland Publishing. And this is my book, Jazz Piano Voicings, the hard copy of it. And today we're just gonna talk about a bunch of things, piano related, music related, any kind of question you guys might have about playing music or what I've done. I have a series of books that you can get on my website, planetmullins.com/book.htm, okay? All right, so it's the 7 tips for improving your musicianship and your piano playing. And I'm gonna start with number 1, and even before I get into that, I'm gonna say, why did I choose playing the piano instead of a guitar, okay? And here's the reason. That's why. That's the main reason why. I mean, you can get so much sound out of a piano, and for kids especially learning, it's all laid out, it's all very visual, you know, you can see everything there. And with a guitar, it's not like that. The guitar only has 6-note polyphony. This is 88-note polyphony. And I like this feature too, because if I want to play a D chord, and it's not in tune, whose fault is it? Not mine. Now, guitar players a lot of times get into this thing of, and we call them kind of gearheads and, you know, techno dudes. They get into a thing where it's that endless tuning of the guitar before they play anything. You know, I know a couple guitar owners in LA that aren't really players that have tons of guitars, and they'll pick up the Les Paul, ring, 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 ring. Oh, sorry. Ring, 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 oh, yeah. Ring, ring. Then they get it in tune and they set it down and they go to the next guitar and start tuning it. That is not how music works, okay? Music is an experience, right? And anything that you can do to help you have a better musical experience, you should just do it, okay? So number 1 is setting up your room, your practice space, your office, your music studio, or whatever. You can see I've got a few peripherals up here. I have a Mac laptop that I use for play-along tracks and to pull music off of YouTube. I've got a cell phone that you know, keeps me on time, and I've got printed paper. Yes, you probably remember this from history class, right? Now, using printed paper is really important. And I have a singer here who's gonna join us in a little bit, and we haven't really learned the music, but instead of trying to read off of the tablet, off of my phone, off of the computer, I printed everything out so that I could quickly make notes, changing keys. In fact, what key did we end up in on Embraceable? It's D flat, right? Yeah. Okay, so you gotta set up your room. We have a little mic and a PA thing for her over here. Now, I do a lot of play-along stuff for piano players. And what that means is that it's not like the iReal book, if you know what the real book is, where they have the, you know, the song plays along and there's no melodies, and all you get is the chord symbols. My play-along library is going to be available later this year, probably by summer. I've already got more than 80 songs done with a jazz trio, so you'll be able to download everything with me playing with an excellent bass player and a drummer. You'll have a chart there, and you'll also have the music -1 stuff. So even if you don't have a professional bass player and drummer, and you're a young person learning to play piano, you can have a world-class trio right in your house with this play-along series, which is pretty cool. Now, setting up your room at home, for jazz, you have to be sure that you have some sort of a speaker like this. okay? Because earbuds, they're not gonna work. Why not? Because there's no response down here where the bass player plays. Super critical to have low frequencies, okay? Now, if you have a good set of headphones, that's fine too. I always prefer wired stuff. I don't like wireless stuff at all. And that's a distraction. So you want a distraction-free environment as much as possible, all right? So for me, that means no animals in the room. How many people just stop because the cat came in? Oh, look at the kitty, it's so fantastic. And your practice session goes, right? And when you play music and set up your room, you want to have a really nice experience. So if you need special art on the walls, they have a lot of jazzy art in here, Coltrane and Monk, and great jazz people, whatever makes you feel comfortable so that you can just kind of focus on making your music and making your sound. So that's number one. Number two, and I'll just ask this question. Out of all the 5 senses, what's the most important one in music? This should be easy. Anybody?
Hearing.
Hearing. Yep, the guy back here is going, right? Why are your ears more important than your eyes? Because visual things, and most people are oriented towards visual stuff, like flashy colors and videos and TikTok and YouTube and all this stuff, and oh, I've got to have a pink piano or I can't play. I've heard stuff like that before. But, with a piano or a keyboard, sense of smell's not really involved, unless your cat comes in and takes a dump in your piano, right? And you want to eliminate as many visual distractions as possible. That's another reason that I have sheet music here, because if I'm going to read these things off of a computer or a tablet, a bunch of my focus is going to be on how do I get to the next page. So here, this is from one of my books, 21 chord progressions everyone needs to learn. Right? And that repeats, but now what's happening to me? Focus is off of the sound, it's off of the piano, I'm scrolling, I'm looking around, and now I'm distracted and I visually have to find where I am in the next part and what stopped the music. You don't want the music to stop. Music should be a thing where you play and you make a continuous sound for at least 30 seconds. I mean, I really do have to say that because it's very hard for some people to do that without getting distracted. Okay. Sorry, I'm really dehydrated in this Denver climate. Okay, number 3, fingering. How many people have problems with their fingering? Anybody? Fingering is really easy if you just cut it into groups. Groups of 2, groups 3, groups 4, once in a while a group of 5, okay? But this is the problem that a lot of people have when they're trying to play a scale, and I've seen, people starting out, and then there's this. So that's solved just with this little move, You don't want to do this in your school, in the classroom, especially if you're on video, but that's the move. Passing under of the thumb, right? It's not an arm move. I like to think of, it's kind of like, washing a car or cleaning a table. That's what your movement should be like when you play the piano, right? It should be something like this. It's not a lot of this, right? And, I like to practice these kinds of things and this move all the way here. And you notice that my butt is not getting up in the air and I'm not off the bench when I do that. right? Which brings me to the other thing that I should mention about setting up your room. Have a bench that's the right height for you, okay? Don't have a bench that's too high, a seat that's too low, because what happens with that, I used to play a lot of bar gigs in Denver, and they would have these bar stools. And you're up like this on the stool, and you're fine until you get home, and then you can't walk the next day, right? So go ahead and measure it. A nice bench like this that's adjustable, it's always a good call. Because if you can adjust it, then you get yourself in a comfortable position. Like right now, this is just perfect for me, and I love it. So, practicing the fingering groups. Groups of 2. I just play the whole C major scale with 2 fingers. That's very helpful. Groups of 3 are great. That's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here's 1, 3, 5. A group of 4. I'm just going 4, 3, 2, 1. So, as far as finger exercises, I have a few that I use in my practice routine, and I just came up with them on my own because as I got older, I just got busier and busier and busier to where I only have 10 minutes today to do any kind of any fingering at the piano. So what can I do that's not Hanon, right? That goes through a lot of different keys, that gets all 5 of my fingers going. So I came up with this, and this is a group of 5 in each edge. So 1, 2 triplet, 3, 4 triplet. Put a little accent on the top note and the bottom note. And go to the minor. And up a half step. Trouble doing that, it sounds a lot easier than it is, trying to keep all your fingers, making the same volume of tone on every note, but just start out really slow and work it up from there. Okay, so that's number 3 about fingering. Sir, yes, we have a question.
I hope you don't mind. What do you do for thumb under exercises? What are some that you found effective for yourself?
Okay, here's a perfect one right here. Is you take these 3 fingers, 3, 4, and 5, and you push them down, right? And then you're gonna go like this. You can put all 4 down, and then you can move the thumb over. Now this is 2. Come on up and check it out. See that? See what I'm doing there? And then I'm gonna go. So you can cross all of them over your thumb. Plant your thumb somewhere, right? And then this is 4 thumb. This is 3 thumb. Right, here's 2 thumb. This is not a really fun one.
Holding your thumb, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going behind it with your fingers.
Yeah, any of these work. I mean, you can, if you want to strengthen your fingers, just these 2, hold these guys down. And then you go to the next group, hold these. That one's awful. The 3 to the 4, I'm feeling the pain of the universe of piano players going, ow! Right? 4, 5. Then you try holding the outsides and play the inside group. Right? Hold the inside, play the outside group. Oh! No! I want my mom! Right? So, and scales are good if you just play that first part of the C scale. thing, so. Right. I hope that answers your question.
It does.
Okay. Okay, beautiful. So, the next thing is lowering your stress level. How many people in the room get stressed out trying to get something done on the piano and then walk away and, kick the dog or throw a baseball through a window or yell at the nearest relative by you, hey you, it's your fault, right? So, it's interesting because today, I think as I counted this up earlier, scroll down, 42,281st hour of 1 hour piano lessons I've taught in my life. I've been doing this 42,000 hours, right? So one of the things I really had to help people with probably the most is just getting the stress out of practice, taking the stress out of songs, trying to get relaxed, trying to get focused. We've already removed a lot of the distractions by setting up your room correctly. But first thing to do is just forget tempo altogether. If you got a problem and you can't get from the first bar to the second bar of the tune, then don't turn on your metronome and get angry, right? Metronomes are great. However, you've got to just figure out the notes, however you have to figure those notes out of a simple chord progression, and then play them one at a time, and let them ring out in the room joyously. Here's a A-flat major chord. And if I had that on a piece of paper, I'd be looking at it, and then I'd find them one at a time. And if you have a piece of sheet music, people, this is another good reason that you print it out. Because if you can't read all that well in the bass clef, welcome to another club, right? The grand staff is not easy to read. I don't know how in all these years nobody invented something that's way easier to read, but it's not. So what I do is I get it out, and for years, if there's this chord, I got my thing, I'm writing F, the letter F, A, C, E. And I don't care if I'm playing with the Denver Symphony that night, and somebody comes over and goes, you had to write out the letter C. Who cares, man? It doesn't matter, whatever you can do to help yourself play better. That's really the key to the whole thing. So now I've got my A-flat chord here. There's a whole lot of stuff that I can do with it. But I'm going to pedal it. This is the first chord of my song. And I'm going to congratulate myself. I made it this far, right? Now the next chord is going to be an F7 plus 9 plus 5. Now reading that is not so easy, especially in jazz, because jazz uses inharmonic spelling a lot, which means you're going to have an A, and it's going to be right next to C flat. And then the C flat is going to be next to an E flat. Then you got an A on the bottom, but you got an A flat on the top. But is it really going to